Hi everyone! For the last couple weeks we have seen signs of plant development around here, and this morning when Blondie and I came down to the beach there were surveyor stakes in the sand. So unfortunately I think our days here at this jewel of a beach are numbered. Changes too are going on at La Brisa this week.
The big change this week is cosmetic, and, well, I guess just a little below the surface, too. For the last few weeks, Lee had been fussing about the cracking and peeling paint of La Brisa's woodwork. I, too, had noticed it, yet it was Lee, to my surprise, who it bothered the most, and he took action. Chava Lopez, who Lee had varnished La Brisa's bright work last April, came out, gave us a quote, and now we are in the midst of a little upheaval for the next couple of weeks. We began getting ready for the painting by offloading the dinghy the day before our first really strong norther arrived. We found that leaving the spinnaker halyard attached to the stern bridle helps to keep the dinghy off the dock, and the dinghy rode quite happily in the strong winds. Then we opened another can of worms, and we removed and labeled the bezels of the ports. We knew there were issues because we had some leakage in last week's rainstorm. Possible leaking areas were apparent by the absence of bedding compound, and this mostly occurred on the lower portions of the port. We elected not to remove the inner portion of the port, as they all appear firmly bedded, and we were not sure what kind of damage we could cause to the sides of the cabin itself upon removal. Lee used his multi-tool scraper and then sanded by hand. On the bezels themselves, I scraped off the adhering bedding material and also noted bare areas indicating no evident seal. The residual bedding compound was sanded off. I elected to leave the verdigris on the outer side, as polishing the outside and keeping it shiny would be a losing battle. The bezels had been simply screwed into the cord cabin sides. Along the bottom of the port frame are two limber holes for drainage, but we were concerned about water intruding along the screws. Using a drill guide for the top holes, we enlarged the screw holes so they could be filled with thickened epoxy. The bottom holes were too close to the deck to accommodate the guide, and Lee free-handed those holes.
That looks wet to me too.
Yep. So we're going to have to do all the bottom ones.
Enlarge them, yeah. That wood looks dry, doesn't it?
Drier anyhow.
With the unpleasant discovery that most of the bottom holes had wet wood, Lee used an even larger drill bit to enlarge the lower holes, and then I used a small drill bit, like an auger, to dig out as much wood as I could. Now we will leave the holes for a few days, as long as the weather stays dry, to allow the core to dry as much as possible before the holes are filled with epoxy. Chava's son Manuel has spent the last 5 days filling and fairing all cracks and dings in the fiberglass and wood. He spent the first day solely working on the cockpit, and, as he explained to me, any unevenness in the surface will be magnified by the paint, so it is essential everything be completely smooth. As for life at the marina, Lee and I did find a better rosca de reyes, surprisingly enough, at Chedraui, where we had purchased an earlier one before Christmas. I guess that for the actual day, January 6th, finer ingredients are used, and we could definitely tell the difference in the texture. Blondie and I tool around the marina in the kayak, and one evening we had an invasion by pelicans, whose antics I thoroughly enjoyed. Tomorrow, the first coat of primer should go on, and we will keep you up to date on La Brisa's beauty makeover. So, until next time.